if I'm being completely honest, I was not planning on making this video, and I was planning on waiting for more information to come out about the Charlie Kirk situation because I thought, okay, in the coming days, we'll get more info as to who the shooter really was, what's going on here, what's his motives, which I think we all kind of know why he did this. But I thought, okay, just sit back for a little bit and wait and see. Well, I really can't do that right now because holy crap. There is so much misinformation going around right now, and it's spreading like wildfire. Everybody's pushing it. We have to stop this from spreading ASAP because it's already gotten so crazy that many people are convincing themselves, no, this was not a left-winger. This was a far-right MAGA Republican that shot Kirk, which anyone with half a brain would tell you, that's insane. And you would think, okay, no one's actually taking this seriously. Look at this. We have Congressman Dave Min, a real Congress member, by the way, not a random Joe off the street. He said, now that the Charlie Kirk assassin has been identified as MAGA, I'm sure Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and all the insane GOP politicians who called for retribution against the radical left will now shift their focus to stopping the toxic violence of the radical right. Yeah, this is somebody in Congress right now. He is currently in office, and he should have lost last year, by the way. But still, he is saying that this was a MAGA Republican. It's been identified, it's been proven that he was a far-right MAGA Republican. We gotta stop the radical right. Huh? This is not some random joke. Guys, this is insane. It's gotten so mainstream, some of this crap, that we have now sitting members of Congress actually pushing this. And they're lying about it, they're making stuff up. And the crazy thing about this is not even like 5 hours, or I should say like 12 hours before he put this tweet out, he said, political violence is unacceptable. Full stop, whether left-wing or right-wing or anything else, no one should feel threatened because of their political views. Which, okay, whatever. If Democrats ran with that message, sure, which they were starting to. They were starting to say, it doesn't matter if he was left-wing or right-wing. No one should feel threatened. Okay, whatever. That's one thing to run on that, which, yeah, you should agree with that. Like, yeah, you should not be threatened because of your political beliefs. But still, not even a day later, not even 12 hours later, he's pushing this. He's saying it was a MAGA Republican. He's like celebrating this. Look at this. Like the way he tweeted this. He was like celebrating it. Like, yeah, it was a MAGA Republican. Are you serious? This is the crap they're pushing. So you know what? Let's go over what we know right now. As of September 13th, 2025. Not the bullshit information Democrats are pushing, which they made up. And that's a crazy thing. These people are just making stuff up. They're getting actual information from even the news outlets admitting some stuff. They're inverting reality so much. They're thinking stuff up. And they're making up anonymous sources in their heads, telling them, yeah, it was a MAGA Republican that shot Kirk. They're just making it up. I mean, it's beyond schizophrenia. They've actually inverted reality so much, they really believe a source told them that it was a MAGA Republican. There's a bunch of tweets going around right now that has like 500,000 likes of everyone saying it was a MAGA Republican. And for those that don't believe me, look at this tweet right here. This is a tweet that really got this shit going, where they were claiming that, according to a Utah official, which is just some bullshit fake report, plus police interviews with his family, Tyler Robinson hated Charlie Kirk because Kirk wasn't conservative enough. Yeah, this tweet has 92,000 likes, 7.8 million views. This is the tweet that everybody on the left is citing, and that's where the shitstorm started. This guy made this up. For starters, the first half of the tweet, according to Utah officials, that's a lie. Because when they say stuff like, according to the officials, that's them claiming it's an anonymous source, all right? Every time they say, oh, according to officials, it's some bullshit anonymous source. But it's a bigger problem on the left because when they say it this way, that it's according to an official, they made it up in their heads. when they say stuff like this, they're just thinking this stuff up. 2 weeks ago, these same people were claiming, yeah, anonymous sources are telling me that President Trump is dead. That's the same shit they said 2 weeks ago, according to officials and these anonymous sources. No, you're just insane. And this is many people on the left. It's very scary. They are thinking this stuff up in their heads. It's beyond schizophrenia. And they're convincing themselves that, yes, a source told me that Robinson hated Kirk because Kirk wasn't conservative enough. Really? And as for these police interviews, I have no clue what he's talking about. If he's referring to the documents that Steven Crowder got, he's just lying. Because right here, this is what Steven Crowder got. Again, I don't know how he gets these documents, but every time a big story like this comes out, Steven Crowder's team, they get these documents. And this is what they said. Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU, according to a family member. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints he had. The family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate. Does that sound like he hated Kirk because he wasn't conservative enough? Does that really sound like that to you? Of course not. This guy is full of shit. His sources, he just made up in his head. He's schizophrenic or beyond that. But the second half of the tweet, police interviews. Where? If you're referring to Steven Crowder documents, there is nothing here saying it's because he's not conservative enough. No, apparently it's because he was full of hate. He was spreading hate. Does that sound like a conservative to you? If this was him bashing Kirk because he was not conservative enough, he would be saying, Kirk is, not far right enough on the issue of, like, Israel or something. I don't know, a random issue like that. But it's full of hate. I don't think the right gives a shit about that. That's not a right-wing thing. So already, this source is bullshit, okay? This is fake news. People gotta call this stuff out. In fact, in my opinion, there should be lawsuits filed here against all these people. They're making stuff up, they're lying about it, they're trying to push a bullshit narrative, and they're trying to incite even more violence. They're trying to say, it's the right-wingers are committing all the violence, quick, do something. But in reality, it's the opposite. They're trying to invert reality. They want more shit to start. This is insane. But let's keep going. Let's just keep going because you want more proof this guy was not some right-winger? These were the engravings on the bullet of Charlie Kirk's assassin, okay? Now, obviously, one of the bullets everybody knows about, it's not listed here, but it was some weird, terminally online, like, furry thing. You could probably guess which way this is going, but still, it's like, okay, whatever. It's not mentioned here. But look at these other ones. Hey, fascist, catch. And, of course, there's the Helldivers reference, okay? In the second half, the up arrow symbol, blah, 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 the stuff from Helldivers. But the first part's important. Hey, fascist, catch. Huh? Hold up. Why would a right-winger shoot Kirk for being a fascist? If he thought Kirk wasn't far-right enough, why would he shoot him for being a fascist? Just logically speaking, why would he? Let's keep going. The second one read, "Oh bello ciao, oh bello ciao, bello ciao." And for those that don't know, this is an anti-fascist song from Italy, I believe. And it's a song that a lot of Antifa uses. Now, right now, you have the media trying to claim that, oh, this right here is actually a right-wing thing now. The far right's using it. And they were quoting some Spotify list or whatever. Well, somebody began to look into it, and the playlist they were referencing, it comes from an account with 5 followers, okay? And the playlist they were mentioning does not even have 500 saves. Or 400. 382. That's the one the left were claiming. Oh, see? The right is using this song. One playlist had it. And like the guy says, this guy mentioned here, it has 400 saves, and more than likely that was due to all the attention today. So they found one random playlist with 5 followers and 400 saves, if that has this. No, this is what the left uses, right? You can look it up. This is a leftist thing. And the final one, it read, if you read this, you're gay, Lamau. Now, Democrats obviously going to claim, say this is proof of a right-winger. No, this is just some online person. And plus, you could argue, well, he engraved on the bullet to make fun of Kirk for being anti-gay or whatever, because that's what they convince themselves, that, oh, he hates gay people. That makes much more sense than, oh, see, this is a right-winger. No, it would make much more sense to say he's making fun of Kirk for being anti-gay and that's a bullet. Or whatever. Either way, though, the other stuff, it's clear. This is a leftist. This is somebody on the left, or somebody with leftist values or whatever, somebody that knows this, that did this. And the mainstream media at the start, they were avoiding these statements. They were avoiding the casings, right? They were claiming, well, there is no theme to this. And if the mainstream media would have just admitted, or if they would have just said, there's no theme here, or they could have just said, it's just some terminally online thing from gaming or whatever, that's one thing. If they would have ran with that, it's still a shitty argument, but okay. You can maybe argue that this is something only somebody that's really online would know. Fine, whatever. But, they immediately, 5 minutes later, last night, that's when the memo went out, I think. Last night, the memo went out and everyone suddenly started to claim, well, these engravings were actually a reference to fascism and obscure internet memes. Hold up. A reference to fascism? You mean the anti-fascist stuff? The stuff that's clearly anti-Kirk for being a fascist? Really? That's the push they're doing now. It was actually an obscure internet meme, and it's a reference to fascism. It's proof of a far-right lunatic. What are we doing here? This is utter insanity. They are trying to change a story in real time. And usually with these stories, they would wait a couple weeks. After the fact, that's when they would try to change history. Okay, that's what the left usually does. They're trying to change history in real time. They're trying to claim, no, it was a fascist ploy or something. Utter insanity. And let's keep going, okay? I mean, we have plenty of statements from people that knew Robinson at least the last couple of weeks or lifelong friends, and they said, right here, this guy was an electrician that worked with Robinson on a job a few weeks ago. So it's not some guy that knew him 10 years ago. 2 weeks ago, he worked with him on a job or whatever, and he said he wasn't really talkative unless he was spoken to, which, okay, whatever. But then look at the second part. Robinson did not really talk political unless someone brought it up, the electrician said, adding that he wasn't too fond of Trump or Charlie Kirk. No shit. So, does this sound like a right-winger? He hates Trump and Kirk. Okay, let's keep going. Spencer Cox said that a family member of Robinson had told investigators that at a recent family dinner, Robinson had mentioned Kirk's upcoming event at Utah Valley University, which we saw this already. That's the document that Stuart Crowder got. And the family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate. Just keep going. And this is the one that really debunks any of this shit. Now, let's be clear. This was The Guardian reporting this, and they're actually trying to censor this, which is even more crazy. But look at this. The Guardian reported that in a phone interview on Friday, one of Robinson's high school friends, who asked to remain anonymous for obvious reasons, said that the suspect was pretty left on everything. And this is the key part. The only member of his family that was really leftist. The rest of his family was very hard Republican, which we can confirm at least they are registered Republicans, okay? Which in Utah, that doesn't matter. People say that's a big own. In Utah, even most Democrats are Republicans. That's just a fact. because in Utah, really, the general election is the primary. And that's why the Utah Republican Party sucks. You have a lot of leftists in the GOP. But either way, they were Republicans, okay? Around sophomore year, and that which we could confirm that, like, yeah, they are registered Republicans. Around sophomore year, the friends of the Robinson had become more extreme in his political views and would always just be ranting and arguing about them. The friends said that they played video games together a lot in high school, blah, 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 and of course they reference Helldivers. When the friend saw the news on Friday, he said that he was shocked. I knew he, Robinson, had strong political views, but I never thought it would go near that far. So you have a friend of his saying, yeah, in real time, I saw him become more extreme. He was always left on most issues, but sophomore year, that's when he began to get even more extreme on his political views, okay? And yeah, he had strong views, but I never thought he would go that far, okay? Well, The Guardian, after this went viral, because this was exposed a lot of BS, they took it down. They claimed, oh, this was removed after the verified source who attended high school with Tyler Robinson, which they first said was a friend, but now they're making it sound like, oh, it's just a random person no one ever heard about, said after the publication that they could not accurately remember details of the relationship. Hold up, time out. He gave a pretty vivid statement about him saying, yeah, we played video games a lot in high school. You know, he made a reference to Helldivers, and he could see in real time that his family were very Republican, but he was more of a leftist and he became more extreme every single year. But suddenly he doesn't remember. No, here's what probably happened. After this went crazy viral, The Guardian quickly panicked, and they probably asked him a bunch of BS questions, and they're saying, see, he does not remember everything. Quick, pull it down. What do you mean you don't remember? He gave a pretty vivid statement. Did he lie about this? Maybe there's a possibility. But this lines up with what we heard from his family, from some random electrician that worked with him, so he would not have a bias in this case at all, and just the basic information about the engravings. And let's keep going. Actually, wrong one. And on top of that, I mean, people kept claiming, well, he donated to Trump in 2020, and that's proof that he is a Republican. In fact, he's a registered Republican. It's all proof that he supported Trump the entire time. He loves him. Well, turns out, A, the donation record is bullshit. The actual donor is a different person completely, with the same first and last name, because Tyler Robinson is kind of a common name. So already, the idea that he gave money to Trump in 2020, that's bullshit. And even then, that's 5 years ago. In politics, that's an eternity. That's like a long time in politics. But even then, he did not give any money to Trump. And as for this claim that he's a registered Republican that voted Trump every time, there is no record of him ever voting. In fact, he is registered unaffiliated, but an inactive voter. Meaning he has never voted for anything that we can tell. Ever. So right now, you have a guy that's a registered unaffiliated voter, okay, who has no donation track record at all, who has engravings of leftist stuff on his bullets, who, according to his family, was becoming more hated Kirk more and more. Even his friends and stuff said it. Like, he's become more extreme in his politics in recent years. And according to his friend, he was more a leftist this entire time. And he hated Trump throughout all these years, and his hatred grew every single year. Does this really sound like a Republican to you? Really best case scenario for the left, if there is a best case scenario, is this guy's a schizophrenic who changes views every 5 minutes. Which, it's entirely possible that's the case. But really, is that much better? It's like, okay, this guy, he changed opinions every 5 minutes, but the second he became a leftist, he shot Kirk. That's not a good look for you, like, at all. So even then, that's not good. It just proves that, hey, these people are becoming radical. They're not well mentally. We gotta do something about this. But do you really think this guy was a Republican? Because even if he was 5 years ago, who gives a shit? Who knows? Maybe when he went to Utah State, Utah State a couple years ago for a semester, which everyone's making a big deal about that. Oh, it's a semester. That's nothing. Which, yeah, people are overstating how much the university might have influenced him. But still, you don't know. He might have met somebody that was a Democrat socialist. I don't know. Like, they have that there at Utah State. Maybe he met somebody, he became more involved in it, and then when he moved back to his hometown, because he left after a semester, maybe he got more involved in left-wing politics. Maybe he got more involved in left-wing circles on, like, Discord or Reddit. So yeah, that's what we know right now. Again, a lot of it's some of it's speculation, but really at this point, it's lining up that this guy, best case scenario for the left, this guy was a schizophrenic that changed his views every 5 minutes, and the second he became a leftist, that's when he shot Kirk. All right, that's like, and there's no best case scenario here, but that's like really like, okay, you can't really, you could maybe argue that maybe this is not a leftist thing, it's a mental illness thing, which is still, you get the point. But really, the more you look at this seems to be a leftist that over the course of a couple of years began to hate Trump and Kirk and Republicans more and more, became more extreme, became more radicalized, that he went after Kirk and he shot him. Now, I want to bring something up. I did accidentally pull this up for a second, but it's something that I think a lot of people gotta look into. It's called Occam's razor. And for those that don't know, the definition of it is, it's a principle in philosophy and problem solving that suggests that the simplest explanation, requiring the fewest assumptions, is often the correct one, which basically means the simplest answer is probably true. Now, to be clear, this is not a guarantee that this is the truth, okay? But most of the time, like, for example, there's good examples here. If you lost your keys, instead of assuming that you've been robbed or there's a ghost, this Occam's razor would suggest, oh, you just misplaced them. So that's kind of an example of what this means. Like, it's the simplest answer. Now, in this case, the simplest explanation is he was a radical his entire life. I should say a radical, but he was more to the left on most issues, at least in high school, but became more radical, maybe got into some weird groups and some stuff like that. And he became more and more radical. And then he saw that Kirk was coming to Utah, and he decided to kill him. That's the simplest explanation for this case. Again, there's some assumptions here and there, I get that, but really, that's kind of the simple answer. Like, this guy was a leftist, and he thought Kirk was a radical because the media said so. So he tried to kill him, and he did. But the other answer, the other explanation from the left is, well, he was a right-winger that hated Kirk so much because he wasn't far-right enough that he killed Kirk, right, because he thought he wasn't conservative enough, even though the engravings showed leftist motives, like, hey, fascist catch. But really, according to them, no, that was actually a 5D chess move by some terminally online person that wanted to blame the left or whatever, or wanted to make fun of them or whatever. I don't know the explanation for that part. And then his friends were just all wrong. His family, they can't explain that either. They're just making stuff up. They're just claiming, oh, his family said he was a Republican. No. The only person that said anything remotely like that is his grandma. And she even admitted that, no, I had never talked politics to him at all, so I have no clue. She just knows that her family are Republicans. So really, I don't even get the other explanation. It's so convoluted. It's such a big conspiracy wrapped up. Like, seriously, he thought Kirk wasn't far right enough, so he decides to shoot him because he became so radical. What are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense at all. And then he uses some obscure reference on the right that even before yesterday, I don't think I ever saw a right-winger use this. Maybe in Germany, there were some people saying that, well, it was a German thing. Who cares? Like, seriously, I don't know. I don't know how you can get to the explanation of, well, he was a right-winger, because it's so convoluted. It goes against all of reality. You have to basically say that all this information is fake. It's all a grand conspiracy. It's a great cover-up, and that he was a right-winger that shot Kirk for being not far right enough. It's bullshit. Guys, this is a cover-up right now by the media, and everybody should be calling this crap out. People got to start sharing the real information. That, hey, people that knew Robinson described him as, you know, somebody that hated Trump or Kirk. And I know there's some people claiming some bullshit classmate that said, well, 10 years ago, I saw him with his friends, and it seemed like he was a Republican. Even though his friends said, no, he was a leftist his entire life. But then he became more radical. Either way, all the information right now is pointing to this guy was a leftist. And if he wasn't, he was a schizophrenic that changed his opinion every 5 minutes. And when he became a leftist or whatever, that's when he decided to do the act. It's not a good situation at all. We got to see what happens. And the FBI right now has dropped the ball big time. Them not quickly, like, doing something about, like, hey, revealing what we know is not helping anyone's case at all. Because now Republican or leftists, they're convincing themselves this was a right-winger. So I was in the process of rendering this video, but we just got some pretty significant updates from the Washington Post and the Wall Street Journal. Yeah, these two outlets, they actually did some, for once, halfway decent reporting, which is crazy, I know. But according to the Washington Post, they interviewed, or at least somebody else interviewed a classmate of Robinson's, and they said that Robinson did not like Trump, but also wasn't excited about Joe Biden. Which people might say, well, this is proof that he hated both parties, which I do say, like, he's not a fan of both parties, which, yeah, I get that. But guys, back in 2020, the average young leftist hated Trump's guts, but at the same time, they were not a fan of Joe Biden. They're like, yay. They weren't enthusiastic about Biden whatsoever. But that's not the important part. Luke added that Robinson did not like hateful people and people who would talk down about others. He was upset about figures who seemed like bullies, who voiced prejudices against people based on their race or sex. Yeah, he is clearly saying he's not a fan of those that are hateful people, which most people would agree. Yeah, you should not be hateful. We should be against that crap. I get that. But notice who he talks about. Those that voice prejudices against people based on their race or sex. That's a big deal because, on average, who makes a big deal about hateful people that are racist or sexist? Leftists. They're the ones that say this stuff all the time. Oh, Charlie Kirk is a prejudice against black people or whatever, or against women. That's a leftist talking point. And on top of that, the Wall Street Journal just minutes ago released a new article where they said, and they actually interviewed Spencer Cox, where he said, it's very clear to us and to the investigators that this was a person who was deeply indoctrinated with leftist ideology. So, you have Spencer Cox, who the left has been praising for days now, saying this guy was indoctrinated with leftist ideology. So now we have another classmate confirming that he was a leftist. He was or at least some of the rhetoric was what the average leftist used, especially 5 years ago. That's the average rhetoric of 5 years ago from the left, even to this day. But now you have Spencer Cox saying, listen, we're investigating right now, but it's looking like he was deeply indoctrinated with leftist ideology. Now do you see why I had to include this part? This is a big deal because, in my opinion, this destroys any narrative that this guy was a far-right lunatic. Maybe he was schizophrenic on the issues and he changed his mind every 5 minutes. Sure, fine. That can be an argument for later, sure. But right now, the whole idea that this was a right-winger that did this, that's bullshit. There is nothing here to indicate he was a right-winger. It's clear, based on his rhetoric in high school back in 2020, which I know that's 5 years ago, that's why we're not really using that much, but still, even back then, he was saying Trump is bad, and he does not like people that were, quote-unquote, prejudiced against people based on their race or sex. Which, again, that's a Democrat talking point. That's a talking point they used for years where they said, Trump hates black people, Trump hates Hispanics, he hates women. That's what leftists used for years now. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.